The first thing I notice when Jabari and I walk into the ballroom is the light, soft, golden, and warm, spilling from chandeliers shaped like inverted crystal fountains. It drips onto polished marble floors, onto glittering dinnerware, onto faces that turn toward my husband with admiration, and toward me with polite confusion, as though asking themselves why I am here. I force my shoulders to settle into a graceful posture, though they want to pull inward. The string quartet in the corner plays something elegant and fluttering, but beneath the music is the hum of ambition, executives murmuring, glasses clinking, quiet laughter that never quite reaches the eyes. Jabari squeezes my waist, not affectionately, more like he's aligning me for display. Smile, Keisha, he mutters under his breath. You look tense. I blink once. I'm fine. Inside, I think, you haven't looked at me long enough to know whether I'm tense or breathing. He strides ahead before I finish my sentence, leaving me to trail him like a shadow. We make it only 10 steps before he launches into his grand entrance act, handshakes, back pats, that booming laugh he only uses in public. The president of the company, Gregory Miles, approaches with two directors behind him, and Jabari's voice swells, pride lifting his chin. This, he says to them, sliding an arm around my waist again, is my wife Keisha. She doesn't understand much about this business, but she tries. The men chuckle politely. The words land on my skin like ice water. There it is, the first cut of the night. He doesn't say it with malice, not openly. It's the casual cruelty, the kind he's comfortable delivering because he's convinced it won't be questioned. I lower my gaze subtly so no one sees the flicker in my eyes. He thinks this is harmless. He thinks I'll swallow it like always. Gregory raises a brow, as if trying to assess the joke. Well, we're glad she made it. Tonight is important. Oh, I know, Jabari says. He pulls me closer but keeps his attention on them. Big things are coming, very big. I feel his excitement vibrating through him, almost feverish. Something is different tonight. I can sense it in the twitch of his jaw, the way he can't stand still. Before I can ask, he's whisked away into another conversation, and I'm left standing at the edge of a crowd made entirely of people who underestimate me for sport. My heart beats quietly beneath my dress. Before we continue this story, I have a small favor to ask. Please leave a comment telling us which city or country you are listening from today. I love reading where our community is from. Also, don't forget to like and subscribe to help us bring you more fascinating stories. I take a slow breath, inhaling the scent of truffle butter and wine. My fingers trail along the cool edge of a champagne flute on a nearby server's tray, grounding myself with its temperature. My internal voice whispers, "You knew tonight would be difficult, but you didn't know it would cut this deep, did you?" Keisha. A sharp voice slices through the air. I turn, and of course there she is, Jasmine Harper. Jazz, she's poured into a sequin gold dress that looks seconds away from bursting at the seams. Her hair is bone straight and glossy, her smile wide and predatory, and she shouldn't be here. Yet she always is. She kisses the air next to my cheek without touching me. Girl, you look so simple tonight, I smile gently. And you look loud. Her smile falters before she laughs. Oh, you've got jokes tonight, okay. She doesn't realize I'm too tired to play games. My gaze glides right past her, but she forces herself into my line of sight. You must be excited for Jabari, Jazz says, a glint in her eyes. He's about to make history. CEO, your man is winning. My breath stills in my throat. CEO, she sees the surprise flicker across my face and grins triumphantly, like a child showing off stolen candy. Oh, you didn't know? She asks, feigning innocence poorly. He didn't tell you. I keep my face perfectly still. Tell me what, she leans in. The deal went through. They're announcing it tonight. He's basically running the whole company now. They said he'll be the youngest CEO in the company's history. My pulse thuds once deeply. CEO, he didn't mention anything, not even a hint. He must have wanted it to be a surprise, she adds, her voice dripping with malice. I let a small, breathy laugh escape. Something like that. Inside, my heart cracks with something I can't immediately name. It's not jealousy, not hurt, not even anger, it's realization. He truly doesn't see me. Not as a partner, not as someone to share victories with, not as someone whose life will be shifted by decisions like this. A waiter stops beside us, offering drinks. I take one, letting the stem of the glass cool my fingertips. I should congratulate him, I murmur. Oh, you should, Jazz whispers, leaning close enough for her perfume to punch me in the nose. He's really moving up, and once he does, he won't need to carry any dead weight anymore. That's the second cut of the night, this one deliberate. Before I can respond, another burst of applause ripples across the room. I turn to see Jabari stepping onto a small dais near the front, Gregory Miles beside him. He taps a microphone. Ladies and gentlemen, Gregory begins, tonight is monumental. Because we are on the brink of confirming a new CEO. The crowd leans in. Jabari puffs up, already wearing the title in his posture. We have an anonymous angel investor to thank for a large part of the funding that has carried our company forward over the past several years, Gregory continues. Their contributions have been extraordinary. My heart tightens, angel investor. The words strike a chord deep inside me, reverberating through memories I've kept sealed for years. Gregory continues. While they have chosen to remain private, their influence is significant. In fact, they own a considerable portion of the company. Jabari's expression flickers with something, curiosity. Greed, he hides it quickly, but I've lived with him long enough to catch the micro movements. He wants that investor. He wants control, he wants power that doesn't belong to him. He has no idea that I am the one thing he cannot own. My mind drifts back to the quiet offices where I signed those forms years ago. The way my father's attorney looked at me when I said, "Keep my name off the public record." The way I read every contract personally. How I used my inheritance carefully, strategically, intentionally. Because I didn't want the spotlight. I wanted to build something lasting. I wanted to give Jabari a chance, despite his flaws, because I believed in the dream he sold me once upon a time. But tonight, I feel the shifting of something tectonic in my chest. The room erupts into applause again as Gregory finishes his speech. Jabari basks in it, grinning widely, his hand sliding around Jazz's waist by mistake before he quickly replaces it on mine as cameras flash. I freeze, Jazz smirks, and Jabari doesn't even notice his error. I whisper, "Excuse me," and step out of his grasp. He doesn't stop me. He barely turns his head. I weave through clusters of guests, past velvet curtains, past waiters carrying silver trays. My heels click softly on the marble, each step syncing with my heartbeat. My thoughts spiral sharp and clear. He called me useless, he called me dead weight. And yet, my money built this. My shares could end this, and he never even looked close enough to see it. I reach the exit doors, cool brass handles touching my palms. Inside me, something opens quietly but decisively. A threshold, a choice, a beginning. I step outside into the crisp night air, my breath fogging lightly in the glow of the street lamps. The city hums around me, cars passing, a distant siren, the faint rhythm of music seeping from inside the building. I lift my chin. My mind is racing with possibilities, each one clearer than the last, if he wants a crown tonight. Then I will show him who truly owns the kingdom. And for the first time in years, a slow, steady smile curls at the corner of my lips. The game has already begun. The moment I step back inside the ballroom, the air feels thicker, like someone has turned up the humidity just to make breathing difficult. The music has shifted to something livelier, brassy horns bleeding into the chatter of the room. My heel catches slightly on the edge of the carpet as I walk, and I pause, steadying myself with a long inhale. The scent of roasted rosemary chicken and champagne floats through the room, but it does nothing to cut through the sharp undercurrent of tension humming beneath my skin. I move through the clusters of people, unseen, unnoticed. A ghost in my own life. My eyes find him almost instantly. Jabari stands near a table of senior executives, laughing too loudly, gesturing too broadly. His hand is on Jazz's lower back again. This time he doesn't pull away quickly. He doesn't even glance around to see who's watching. And Jazz, she's glowing, basking in it, tilting her head toward him like she belongs there. A slow exhale leaves my lips. He's not even hiding it anymore. Doesn't think he needs to. I drift to the sidelines, choosing a small cocktail table near the wall where the lighting is dimmer. It casts soft shadows across my dress, making me look even more invisible than I already feel. I rest my hand on the cool marble edge, grounding myself as I watch. Jabari throws his head back, laughing at something a director says. Then, as if remembering his audience, he slips an arm around Jazz again. But this time Jazz points discreetly at me. His eyes follow her finger. He sees me. For a moment, our eyes lock across the crowded room, just a few seconds, but enough for the atmosphere between us to shift. His brows knit together in something like irritation, or maybe it's annoyance that I'm not where he left me, not waiting quietly for him. I straighten my posture. He turns back to the group without acknowledging me. I watch the subtle movement, his shoulder tightening, his jaw shifting ever so slightly as he says something that makes the whole group chuckle. Jazz looks at me while she laughs, her smile sharpened into something mean. He's performing, I think, and I'm supposed to be his silent backdrop. A server approaches with a tray of drinks, and I take a glass of sparkling water, the condensation slick against my fingertips. My throat suddenly feels too dry for alcohol. As I bring the glass to my lips, a thought flickers through me, unwelcome but undeniable. This marriage has always looked like this, hasn't it? Him in the spotlight, me in the shadows. Him speaking, me listening. Him building a life, me funding it from behind curtains he never lifted. A lump forms in my chest. The kind that comes from years of endurance, not sudden pain. I swallow hard. Near the center of the room, Jabari launches into another story, When He Loves, a recycled tale about how he, single-handedly, saved the company during a financial dip 2 years ago. I watch the passion in his gestures, the way he spreads his arms like a hero returning from battle. He doesn't mention the midnight phone call he made to me back then. He doesn't mention how he begged for money. He doesn't mention how I wired it immediately. He doesn't mention how my hands trembled after I hung up the phone. And when the board came to me, he says confidently, I told them I had everything under control. They trust me. They always will. A ripple of admiration moves through the group. Jazz places a manicured hand on his bicep and beams up at him, as though she's the one he saved. I sip my water to keep from choking on the bitterness rising in my throat. He didn't save the company. I did, and he doesn't even remember to pretend otherwise. My fingers tighten around the glass. I don't realize I'm staring until someone steps into my line of vision. It's Morris. The young intern Jabari bullies mercilessly. He's holding a tablet, his expression a mix of nerves and sympathy. Mrs. Bennett? He asks gently. I blink back to the present. Yes. He glances toward the crowd, then leans in slightly. Are you okay? I didn't mean to interrupt. You just look like you might need. I'm fine, I say automatically. But inside, my voice whispers, I'm not fine, not tonight. Morris nods respectfully, though his eyes linger with concern. If you need anything, I'm around. I soften my expression. Thank you. When he walks away, I exhale slowly. His kindness is a stark contrast to the coldness radiating from the center of the room. Funny, I think. The intern he disrespects sees me more clearly than my own husband. A smooth burst of laughter erupts from Jabari's group again, and this time it's too loud, too sharp. Something inside me recoils. I set my drink down, I walk toward them. My heels are soft whispers against the floor, but inside me, every step feels heavy, deliberate, like I'm walking toward a truth I can no longer avoid. As I approach, the edges of their conversation sharpen. It's all about vision, Jabari is saying. Some people just don't have it. He glances at Jazz. You know what I mean, Jazz smirks. Some people are just dead weight. A few people chuckle. Not because they think it's funny, they're laughing because he's the rising star, the man who might be CEO in a matter of hours. They're laughing because they want him to see them laughing. I stop right beside him, he barely turns. Jabari, I say softly. He sighs, they hear it, he doesn't try to hide it. Yes, Keisha. His voice is polite enough to be performative, but not enough to hide the annoyance beneath. I force myself not to flinch. A word, in private. He glances at Jazz, then at the executives, then back at me. Can it wait? He asks. We're discussing business. I look straight into his eyes. I'm aware. He gives a small chuckle, shaking his head as though I'm being unreasonable. Keisha, this is a big night for me. Not everything needs your intervention, my breath catches. Intervention? I repeat quietly. He waves a hand dismissively. You know what I mean. You don't have to hover, just enjoy the evening, talk to some of the wives or something. My chest tightens with heat. He truly believes this is my role, decoration, background filler. Wife of the almost CEO, I press my lips together. I stepped away for a moment. You didn't notice, he shrugs. I figured you were powdering your nose, or whatever it is you do. Inside, something cracks. It's small, but loud enough for me to feel it echo. I wanted to congratulate you, I say. On the CEO position. He lifts his chin proudly. Ah yes, big accomplishment. Took a lot of hard work, a lot of sacrifice. My pulse sharpens. Sacrifice. He says it like he carried the weight of the world, like he paid for everything, like he built the foundation he's standing on. I exhale once through my nose. It must feel good. It does. He leans in slightly, voice lowering. And honestly, it feels like validation. That all those nights of grinding, strategizing, and making the tough choices paid off. Jazz chimes in from beside him. He really deserves it, Keisha, you know that, right? I ignore her, my eyes remain on him. Congratulations, I repeat. Truly, he smiles faintly. Thank you, I know you try in your way to support me, it's just well, he laughs lightly. We all have different strengths, and business isn't yours. My breath catches hard this time, the humiliation sears deeper than his words. The group is watching, Jazz is smirking, even the executives shift uncomfortably. But Jabari doesn't notice or doesn't care. He looks down at me with a patronizing tilt to his head. Don't worry, he says. You'll be fine, I'll take care of you. I stare at him, then I speak. Jabari, he raises a brow. Don't ever speak to me like that again. He chuckles, loud enough for the group to hear. Oh come on, Keisha. His hand waves the air dismissively. This sensitive thing you're doing, not tonight. I have real things to focus on. My fingers curl into my palm. He doesn't know it yet, I think. but I am the real thing he should be focusing on. He turns back to the executives, dismissing me in front of everyone, his final insult of the night. I stand there, frozen for a moment, letting the weight of it settle. Then slowly, calmly, I turn away. I walk back toward the shadows, my heart not broken, but awakening. Jabari laughs behind me, already absorbed in his adoring audience. He doesn't notice the shift in me. He doesn't see the storm he has just birthed. And he has no idea that tonight is the last time he will ever humiliate me without consequence. I leave the ballroom early, slipping out before anyone can stop me, before Jabari can turn to offer another half-hearted smile that feels more like an insult than affection. The night air outside is cool, almost too crisp against my skin, but it's grounding. Honest. Nothing like the suffocating warmth inside the ballroom where lies bloom like flowers. I walk slowly toward the car, my heels tapping softly against the pavement, but the sound isn't rhythmic, more like the uneven echo of an old memory resurfacing. And they come in waves, not the glamorous ones, not the public smiles or the curated Instagram moments, but the beginning, the real beginning. I remember the first time I met Jabari. It wasn't at a gala or a polished corporate event. It was in a cramped community coffee shop that smelled like roasted beans and cinnamon rolls. I was working on a personal project, my father's old notebooks spread out on the table, my laptop humming softly as I typed. He walked in wearing ambition like cologne, white t-shirt, a little wrinkled faded jeans, a backpack slung carelessly over one shoulder, not a hint of who he would become, but every hint of who he believed he would be. He bumped into my chair, spilling a bit of my latte. "Oh damn, my bad," he said, then flashed that wide, charismatic smile that made strangers relax instantly. "You okay?" I had looked up at him, evaluating. Something about him was bright, not polished, not calm, but burning. "I'm fine," I said, "just a coffee casualty." He laughed loudly, too loudly for the intimate cafe, but somehow it didn't feel obnoxious back then. It felt fearless. "What tray you working on?" he asked, craning his neck toward my screen before I could even answer. I closed the laptop halfway. "A personal idea," he tapped his chest. "Same, I'm building something big. A tech platform. It's gonna change the game." I raised an eyebrow. "The entire game," he grinned. "Every last rule." I smiled despite myself. Back then his confidence wasn't arrogance, it was hunger, potential, raw and unshaped. Inside, I think now, I didn't fall for the man he became. I fell for the man he was trying to be. We talked for 3 hours that day. About big dreams, about building legacies, about wanting more than the small world we came from. When my phone rang, my father calling, I excused myself. That was the last conversation I would have with my father before everything changed. My father's funeral smelled like lilies and rain, heavy, cool, a smell that clung to my clothes long after the service. I remember standing beside his casket, gripping the folded program until its edges dug into my palms. My aunt spoke softly behind me, something about time healing wounds, but her words felt like air slipping through my fingers. My father had left me everything. Not just money, though there was a lot of it. He left me his dreams, his values, his belief in what I could become. He left me trust, and I wasn't ready for it. A few months later, Jabari and I were inseparable. He was charming and persistent, always pulling me out of grief with grand ideas and wild gestures. He made me feel like life hadn't ended, it had only paused. We married faster than my family preferred. They called it impulsive, I called it clarity, and for a while it was good. He worked tirelessly on the company he had been building from the ground up. Late nights, early mornings, a laptop balanced on his knees at 3 in the morning. "You could change the world," I once whispered to him as he dozed on the couch, his eyes cracked open. "I will," he murmured. "We will." I held onto that word like a promise engraved in stone. But somewhere along the way, that word faded, the memory shifts, it's late, 3 years into our marriage, Jabari's company is in trouble, real trouble. He's pacing the living room, sweat beading across his forehead, his shirt unbuttoned halfway as though stress has peeled away everything but desperation. "They're going to pull the plug," he mutters. "Gregory said they can't keep extending the deadline." I sit on the couch, my hands folded quietly in my lap. "How much do you need?" He stops pacing. "Keisha, it's not no, I'm not taking your money." I raise an eyebrow. "Why not?" "Because." He runs a hand through his hair. "I want to earn this. I want to look at that building one day and know I built it, not that I took handouts." "It's not a handout," I say. "It's an investment," but he shakes his head stubbornly. "I don't want you tied up in my business, it's too much risk." Those words haunt me sometimes. He didn't want me tied up in his business back then. But now he can't imagine I might be connected to it in any real way. Later that night, long after he fell asleep on the couch, I had called my father's attorney. A quiet conversation. A decision made in the stillness. Anonymous stake, I said. Yes, Mrs. Bennett, the attorney responded gently. Your father trusted your judgment. My hand trembled around the phone. It was the first major financial decision I had made alone since inheriting everything. When the funds went through, the company breathed again. Jabari thought the board saved him. He never asked how they got the money, he never wanted to know, and I let him believe that because I loved him. Because I wanted him to feel like the hero of his own story. Inside, I whisper now, you wanted to give him wings. You never thought he'd use them to fly away from you. But somewhere along the way, success replaced humility, board meetings became performances. Partnership became possession, and ambition became arrogance. With success came Jazz. I didn't know her role at first. I noticed her before I learned her name, mostly because she was always laughing, loudly, flamboyantly, near Jabari's office. Too close, too available, I saw it in the small things, the way her hair was always perfect, the way she touched his arm, the way she avoided eye contact with me, and then one afternoon she cornered me in the ladies' restroom at a company event. He talks about you, you know, she said while applying lipstick in the mirror. I raised my chin. Does he? MMHMM. She smacked her lips together loudly. He says you're sweet, quiet, the supportive type. She turned to look at me fully. Not his match, though. Not really. Her smile wasn't pretty, it was petty. I remember tightening my grip on the restroom counter, the marble cool beneath my palms. You don't know my husband as well as you think you do, she hummed. Maybe not, but I know what he wants, and I know what he doesn't. Her gaze swept over me like a judge delivering a cruel verdict. He doesn't want this. She walked out, her perfume lingering behind, a sickly sweet scent that clung to my blouse for hours. That was the first time I let myself consider the possibility that Jabari's late nights weren't always about work. And the hurt that followed was sharp, deep, heavy, but I still stayed. Why? Because I had invested more than money. I had invested years, time, belief, love, and I wasn't ready to accept that the man in front of me had drifted so far from the one in that coffee shop years ago. Now, standing in my bedroom, unzipping my simple burgundy dress, I breathed deeply. My reflection in the mirror looks calm, too calm. But inside, memories move through me like a slow storm, building energy, building clarity. Jabari didn't become cruel overnight, and I didn't become invisible overnight. These things happen brick by brick, choice by choice, indifference by indifference. But tonight, I finally saw the whole structure, the whole truth, and I feel something I haven't felt in a very long time: control, quiet, steady, intentional. A part of my soul, when I tucked away years ago, begins to stir. The woman who invested, the woman who read every contract, the woman who inherited power and was taught how to wield it responsibly, my father's daughter. I smooth my hair behind my ear and whisper to my reflection. He thinks I'm quiet because I'm weak. But I'm quiet because I'm calculating. And as the memory of Jabari brushing me off, belittling me, touching her instead of me, settles deep in my chest, I know something with absolute certainty. This story isn't over, not by a long shot, and I'm done being the one in the shadows. Morning light spills into my home office like honey, thick, golden, slow. It stretches across the hardwood floors and touches the edges of my desk where stacks of neatly organized folders sit waiting for me. The room is quiet except for the faint hum of the air purifier and the soft rustle of pages as I slide open a file I haven't touched in years. My shares, 38%. A number that once felt heavy, private, almost burdensome. But now it feels like a spine I didn't realize I had. I sit down slowly, letting my fingers glide over the embossed leather of the portfolio. The texture grounds me. So does the faint scent of sandalwood coming from the candle I lit earlier. It fills the room with a seriousness I need right now, warm, steady, ancient. Today is the day I stop waiting to be seen. Today I step into the power I've been holding quietly, patiently, almost timidly. And I'm done being timid. My phone buzzes. I take a breath before answering. Mrs. Bennett, a calm voice says. Eli Turner, my father's attorney and the only person alive who knows the full scope of my financial decisions. I received your message. You want to meet? Yes, I say. Today, there's a pause. I assume this is about the company. It is. Another pause, longer this time. It's overdue. His words hit me more deeply than I expect. Inside, I think, yes, it is, and somehow I'm the last one who realized it. Come to my office at 10, he continues. We'll go over everything. Thank you. As I end the call, a small tremble runs through my fingertips. Not fear, anticipation. Adrenaline. Something electric moving beneath my ribs, waking up pieces of me that have been dormant for years. I gather the folders, place them neatly into a slim black briefcase, and exhale through my nose. Time to begin. Ellie's office smells like old books and polished wood. There's always a fire burning in the fireplace, even in summer, which makes the room feel less like a workplace and more like a sanctuary for people who make impossible decisions. He rises when I enter, his silver hair glinting under the warm light. Keisha, he says, offering his hand. You look resolved. I give a small smile. I am. We sit across from each other at a long mahogany table, the weight of the moment settling between us. He opens a folder. I reviewed your holdings again last night. I raise an eyebrow. You knew I would come to you, he smiles slightly. I hoped, he flips a page. You still hold 38%, enough to veto leadership decisions, enough to redirect strategic control, enough to unseat someone. Jabari's face flickers through my mind, his laughter last night, his hand on Jazz's back, his voice calling me sensitive, dead weight, my pulse steadies not with sadness but with clarity. I need to use my shares, I say quietly. All of them. Lee nods once unfazed. Then we'll prepare the necessary documents. He begins typing on his laptop while I watch the flames dance in the fireplace. They move like they're swallowing oxygen, growing taller with each breath. I whisper, I want it done correctly, legally, strategically. Of course, he says. Your father raised you well. You were taught not just how to inherit wealth, but how to move with it. The words tighten something in my throat, my father, the man who believed in restraint, respect, privacy. He would have understood this moment. He would have told me to never let someone treat me smaller than my own power. Lee continues, you'll also need to contact the board, quietly. I inhale slowly. I know exactly how I want that handled. His fingers pause on the keyboard. And when do you intend to reveal your identity? A small smile forms on my lips before I can stop it. Right when Jabari thinks his victory is guaranteed. Lee chuckles, leaning back in his chair. Well, if he underestimates you now, that's on him. I swallow, thinking of last night. He doesn't just underestimate me. He forgets I exist unless it's convenient. Prepare everything, I say. I want to move quickly. He's expecting the board meeting to be his coronation. And it will be, Eli responds. Just not the one he thinks. By noon, I'm back in my car, engine humming softly. I sit in the driver's seat without moving, hands resting lightly on the steering wheel. I can feel my heartbeat in the tips of my fingers, steady, deliberate. When I check the time, I nod to myself, perfect. I pull out my phone and open my email to Board of Directors subject, confidential request, immediate meeting. I type slowly, deliberately, good afternoon. I would like to request individual conversations with each of you within the next 48 hours. There are matters regarding the company's leadership structure and the anonymous investment holdings that require your immediate attention. Please consider this urgent and confidential. KB, I stop before hitting send. My thumb hovers over the screen. Inside, a thought whispers. Once you do this, nothing will ever go back to how it was. You can't unring a bell. I press send. The message leaves my phone like a spark leaving a wire, and everything begins. That night I sit at my desk again, the house quiet around me. Jabari is still at the office, or at least that's what he texted. I have no desire to ask questions. The silence is peaceful, healing. I run my fingers along the edges of the documents Eli prepared. They feel cold, precise. Sharp, power on paper, my father used to say. True power is felt in the pauses. In the quiet. In the decisions no one sees being made. I finally understand what he meant. I open my laptop and make the next call on my list. Hello, the voice on the other end is deep, measured. Mr. Langley, one of the board's most respected members. Good evening, I say. This is Keisha Bennett. There's a pause. Mrs. Bennett, to what do I owe this call? I'd like a private meeting, I say. Tomorrow, there are matters we need to discuss regarding the company. Another pause, this one longer, calculating. He's a smart man. He knows something is happening. Tomorrow, he confirms. My office. Noon, thank you. When I end the call, I sit back and stare at the ceiling. That was one. 9 more to go. I continue, one call after another. Some are curious, some cautious, some respectful, but all agree to meet. By the time I make the last call, something warm spreads across my chest. They're listening, they're taking me seriously. They always would have if I had stepped forward sooner. The realization stings, but it also empowers me. I was never powerless. I was only quiet. And now the quiet is ending. Hours later, I hear the front door open. The jingle of Jabari's keys, his heavy footsteps, his slight stumble as he kicks off his shoes. He smells like whiskey. He walks into the office doorway without knocking. You're still up? He asks, slurring slightly. I look up from the papers. Yes, he loosens his tie dramatically. Shouldn't stay up too late. You know you get emotional when you're tired. Inside, I feel the slow flare of heat, emotional, sensitive, useless, dead weight. His vocabulary is a small cage he keeps trying to put me in. I don't respond. He doesn't notice. He drifts toward the kitchen, muttering something about reheating leftovers. I listen as the microwave door slams, then beeps. I look down at the final document in front of me. Board meeting scheduled for Friday at 9 a.m. attending. All members requested appearance. Anonymous investor. My finger traces the words. Perfect. Timing is everything. If Jabari thinks Friday is his coronation, then Friday is exactly when I will take the crown out of his hands. I close the folder gently and stand, my back straight, my breath steady. He has no idea what is coming, and that is exactly how I want it. Jabari comes home that Thursday evening humming, actually humming, like a man at the peak of his life. He drops his keys onto the marble counter with an arrogant little clatter, the sound echoing through the kitchen like a performance he expects someone to applaud. I'm sitting by the window, nursing a cup of hibiscus tea. The steam curls upward in slow, dancing spirals. The scent is tart, grounding. It helps me stay calm while I watch him move with the careless buoyancy of a man who thinks the world can't wait to crown him. Big day tomorrow, he says, loosening his tie as he walks past me. Really big, you should probably get some rest. You always get sensitive when you're tired. There it is again, sensitive, one of his favorite little jabs. I don't respond at first. I let the silence sit, heavy, thick. He doesn't feel it, he never does, but I feel it settle into my skin like a second layer. That right? I finally say, my voice soft but steady. He shrugs. Just saying, tomorrow's important for me. I don't want you dragging weird emotions into the energy of the day. My fingers tighten around the warm ceramic of my mug. Weird emotions. He means my humanity, my presence, my existence. Good night, Jabari, I say. He smirks like he won something. Inside, a quiet spark ignites. Tomorrow will be important, yes, but not in the way he thinks. The next morning, I arrive at the company building earlier than usual. The lobby smells of polished stone and faint citrus cleaner. Sunlight pours through the tall glass panels, creating long reflections across the glossy floor. I take my time walking toward the elevator, my heels tapping in slow, measured beats. Each step its own declaration. Employees murmur greetings as I pass, but their eyes flicker with something else. Confusion, curiosity, wariness. They sense something shifting. When the elevator doors glide open, I step inside and catch a glimpse of myself in the mirrored wall. My hair is pinned back in a smooth twist, my lipstick a subdued plum, my suit a deep charcoal that blends with shadows. I look composed, in control. I feel it too. The doors begin to close, then a hand slips in. Jazz. Her perfume hits me before her voice does, sweet, sugary, aggressively youthful. She steps inside with a dramatic toss of her hair, the blonde streaks gleaming under the fluorescent lights. Well, good morning, she says, smiling with teeth too sharp to be real. Didn't think you'd be here this early. Big day for the boss. She means Jabari, she always means Jabari. Good morning, Jazz, I say, keeping my tone neutral. She presses the button for the top floor, then leans against the wall, crossing her arms with a deliberate show of confidence. Her bracelet jingles thick gold flashy, catching the light in quick abrasive glints. You look tired, she says sweetly. Didn't get much sleep, nerves maybe, I'd be nervous too if I were you. I let the words wash over me like dust blown by the wind. No, I say softly. I slept just fine. A beat passes, she narrows her eyes, then she laughs, loud, unapologetic. We'll see how today goes, might be a lot of surprises. Oh, Jazz, I think you truly have no idea. Upstairs, the office buzzes with excitement. People whisper in small clusters. Papers rustle, keyboards clack, phones ring. There's an energy anticipatory, electric, and in the middle of the commotion, Jabari, he's standing by the glass conference room, laughing with two board members as if he already owns the chair at the head of the table. When he turns and sees me, his face shifts, not with affection, but with that same performative patience he reserves for things he deems unnecessary, like decorative plants. Or background noise, or me. Keisha, he says, waving me over with a casual flick of his wrist. There's my girl. The words hit like a slap. My girl, not my partner, not my wife, just something he possesses, a prop. I walk over slowly. Yes, I ask. He places a hand on my shoulder, the gesture light but condescending. You can sit in the back today, no need to worry yourself with the business stuff. I need to stay locked in, focused, you know. Jazz snickers behind him. I smile gently. Of course. His eyebrows lift, surprised I didn't argue. But he brushes it off quickly, turning back to his conversation. Inside, though, a thought curls in my chest like smoke. Let him think he's setting the stage. He doesn't know the script has already changed. For the next few hours, I move quietly through the building, weaving subtle threads of influence everywhere I go. A conversation here, a question there, a message slipped to an assistant, a document confirmed by legal, a board member given a final reassurance. I am everywhere and nowhere, present and invisible, soft and sharp at the same time, like water. People don't notice water until it rises, and today it is rising. Around noon, I stop by the break room to refill my water bottle. The light flickers slightly, one of those bulbs that has been dying for weeks. It casts a dim, uneven glow across the room. I hear footsteps behind me, then her voice, Jazz. So, she says, leaning against the counter, just wanted to give you a heads up. I look up slowly. About what? She tilts her head, her lips curling into a mocking smile. When Jabari becomes CEO, he's planning to reevaluate a lot of positions, especially people who aren't really contributing. The implication lands between us like a dropped knife. I see, I say softly. She shrugs, examining her nails. He deserves someone who supports him, really supports him, not someone who drags him down. My heartbeat stays steady. Calm. I've supported him more than you know, I say. She laughs. Please, you barely understand half the things happening in that boardroom. Inside, anger flickers, but not wild, not chaotic, controlled, focused, refined into something sharp. I understand enough, I reply. She raises her eyebrows. If you say so. She grabs her iced coffee, lets her nails click dramatically against the plastic, and struts out. When she disappears, I exhale slowly. Jazz thinks she's cutting me down, but all she's doing is tightening her own noose. By 3, the stage is nearly set. I meet briefly with Mr. Langley in a quiet side office. He closes the door gently behind us, his expression serious. We're prepared for tomorrow, he says. You understand the magnitude of this? Yes, I reply. You understand what this will do to him? My eyes drop to the papers on the table, the legal forms, the shareholder agreements, the voting rights confirmations. Yes, I whisper. I understand. Inside, my heart is steady. He chose his path, I'm choosing mine. When I leave the room, I feel lighter, stronger, sharper, pieces are falling neatly into place. That evening, Jabari and Jazz host a little pre-celebration in his office. Music plays softly, glasses clink. Their laughter spills into the hallway, careless and loud. I walk past the door without stopping, but I hear him. Tomorrow, babe, he says to Jazz, everything changes, she giggles. I can't wait to see her face when you're named CEO. He laughs deep, smug, triumphant. My footsteps never falter. Tomorrow, everything will change indeed. Just not for me. When I get home, the air feels different. Clean, quiet, anticipatory. I walk to my office, switch on the lamp, and take out the final document. Board meeting, Friday request. Anonymous investor to appear in person. My name sits under the request, my signature at the bottom, elegant. Clear. Final. I run my thumb over the ink, feeling the subtle texture of the dried pen strokes. The trap is set. All I have to do now is walk into it. And let it close. I sit in the darkened room, the lamp casting a warm halo around me. My heartbeat is calm. Tomorrow he meets the woman he's been dismissing. Tomorrow he meets the owner. And I am ready. The morning before the board meeting begins with an unusual stillness, an almost eerie quiet that settles over the house like a veil. Even the air feels different, thicker somehow, as though it knows something irreversible is drawing near. When I wake, the room is still dim, barely kissed by the soft gray glow of dawn. Shadows stretch long across the floorboards, reaching like slow-moving tides. I sit up slowly, pressing my palms into the mattress. The sheets feel cool beneath my fingers. The scent of lavender from last night's pillow mist still lingers in the air. I inhale it deeply, grounding myself. It's strange how even the smallest comforts feel amplified when you stand at the edge of life-changing decisions. From down the hall, I hear movement. Jabari's heavy footsteps. His off-key humming, his confidence, his arrogance. It echoes through the hallway like a drumbeat announcing a king who believes his crown is already forged. My chest rises and falls in a slow, controlled breath. Today is his last morning walking through this house as an untouchable man. I swing my legs over the side of the bed and stand. My knees do not shake. Months of buried strength rise to the surface like a tide reclaiming land. I walk to the mirror, studying my reflection, the soft lines of my face, the steadiness in my eyes. I look like a woman who has survived things. I look like a woman who is done surviving. I look like someone ready to take back what was always hers. Downstairs, Jabari is already dressed, pacing in front of the granite counter with an energy that sets the room buzzing. His suit is charcoal with silver pinstripes. His cologne, expensive and sharp, cuts through the air like something meant to command attention. You're up, he says without looking at me. Yes, he adjusts his tie a little too dramatically. Big day, really big. I need everything to go smoothly. I can't have distractions, emotions, or drama today, okay? He says it like I'm the problem. Like I'm the factor that could ruin his perfection. I understand, I say quietly. He nods, satisfied. Good, Then he grabs a piece of toast, barely acknowledges me, and heads toward the door. Before leaving, he pauses and adds, "Try to stay out of the way. You get overwhelmed in rooms like this." The insult lands gently, like ash rather than flame, because there's nothing left in me for him to burn. "I'll be there," I say. He looks confused. "At the office?" "Yes." He frowns, opens his mouth, closes it again, then shrugs. "Fine, just don't make things weird." He leaves with an air of a man convinced everyone is his supporting cast. The door clicks shut. The silence that follows is warm, powerful, liberating. He thinks today is about him. Let him think so. I drive separately. The city is washed in a pale morning glow, the streets glistening with dew. Every red light feels less like a delay and more like a moment to breathe, to acknowledge the weight of what's coming. When I reach the company, I don't go through the main lobby. Not today. I take the private entrance used for board members and senior executives. The security guard, a tall man with gentle eyes, straightens when he sees me. "Mrs. Bennett," he says with a respectful nod. "Good morning." "Good morning," I reply. He scans my ID badge, then gestures me through. As I walk down the quiet hallway, the fluorescent lights hum softly above me. Each step echoes faintly, a rhythmic tapping that mirrors the steady beat in my chest. This hallway leads directly to the executive suites. Few employees ever walk it. Fewer question the people who do. Today, I belong here more than anyone. Jabari, meanwhile, is in full performance mode. When I reach the large glass window that looks into his office, I stop for a moment and watch. He's surrounded by a handful of employees, mostly junior managers, who laugh too quickly at his jokes, nod too eagerly at his every word. He stands tall, shoulders back, chest out, gesturing like a man who already sees himself at the top. Jazz is perched on his desk, crossing her legs slowly in an exaggerated display, smiling at him like he invented sunlight. She sees me first, her eyes brighten with something smug. She leans in and whispers something to Jabari. He smirks, then turns, spotting me through the glass. His expression shifts, annoyance mixed with confusion. He opens the door halfway. "What are you doing up here?" "I needed to speak with someone," I say calmly. "Who? This isn't your area." He glances at the others, lowering his voice just enough to be insulting. "You know you get overwhelmed up here." Inside, I think every insult is his last breadcrumb of ignorance. "I'm fine," I say. He forces a tight smile. "Just remember what I said. No unnecessary attention. Today's about focus." He doesn't wait for an answer before disappearing back into the room with Jazz. I take a slow breath through my nose. Today is about focus, just not his. I spend the next hour in a small conference room reviewing the final documents Eli sent over that morning. My hands move with confidence, sliding pages into order, double-checking clauses, signing where needed. The pen glides smoothly across the paper, making each signature feel like a quiet act of reclamation. Every time the pen touches ink, my father's voice echoes in my mind. Power doesn't have to shout. Power can whisper and still be obeyed. I am finally beginning to understand. Around 10, I receive a discreet text from Mr. Langley. "We're ready. They will follow your lead." Everything happens at the boardroom entrance. A single breath escapes me, slow, controlled, purposeful. This is the moment I stop preparing and start stepping into the center of the storm. When I return to the main floors, the air is buzzing. Employees move quickly, whispering with excitement. The board meeting is the day's event, everyone knows it. Jabari sees me pass and raises his eyebrows. "You're still here, shouldn't you wait downstairs?" he asks, tone dipped in something bordering condescension. "I'm fine here," I reply. He scoffs. "Suit yourself, don't blame me if you get anxious." He pats my shoulder like I'm a fragile bird he must handle delicately. Then he struts off toward the boardroom with Jazz trailing close behind, her heels clacking aggressively against the floor. As they walk away, I watch him soak up the attention, the greetings, the congratulations, the premature praise. He basks in it, bathes in it, lives for it. He believes he's ascending. He believes nothing can stop him. He believes everyone sees him as he sees himself. And not one part of him knows the truth. He is walking straight into the center of a net I've been weaving carefully around him. I follow behind at a measured pace. Not rushed, not timid, just steady. Every step feels intentional. By the time I reach the boardroom entrance, several board members are already there. They greet Jabari politely but not enthusiastically. He doesn't notice. He's too caught up in his own reflection in the glossy table, adjusting his lapel pin. I stay outside, waiting. Langley approaches me quietly. "Are you ready, Mrs. Bennett?" he asks. I nod once. Inside, everything stills. My heart, my breath, my thoughts. This is the moment before the reveal, the breath before the truth, the calm before the storm breaks open. I'm ready, I whisper, as Jabari positions himself near the head of the table, already assuming the role. Jazz smirks and whispers something in his ear. He grins, a board member clears his throat. Before we begin, he says, we're waiting for one more attendee. Jabari frowns. Who? Everyone's already here. The board member answers slowly, deliberately. Our anonymous majority investor. The room goes silent. Jabari laughs. What anonymous investor? They've never shown up in person. A tense anticipation spreads across the glass walls. Mr. Langley gives me a slight nod. I step forward, the doors to the boardroom swing open. Jabari turns, and for the first time in years he truly sees me. The room freezes around me when the boardroom doors close at my back. The faint click echoes across the polished floors like the final note of a symphony, sharp, precise, unignorable. Light from the ceiling panels glints off the long glass table, casting reflections that shimmer across the faces staring at me. Some curious, some alarmed, some mostly those who already know still, composed, waiting. But none of that is what I focus on. My eyes go straight to Jabari. He looks like a man whose certainty has been interrupted, just slightly. His posture remains arrogant, his chin lifted, but his eyes flicker with something I haven't seen on him in a long time, doubt, barely a crack. But there, Jazz is perched beside him, leaning forward with her elbows on the table, her glossy lips slightly parted. The look she gives me is sharp and disdainful, like I've just walked into a room I don't belong in. In her mind, I never once have. I walk to the empty seat reserved for the anonymous investor. The leather is smooth under my fingertips as I pull it back slowly, deliberately. The sound of the chair sliding across the carpet is soft, but it feels thunderous. The board watches. Jabari watches harder. I sit without breaking eye contact with him. He forces a laugh. Ugh, Keisha, honey, that's not your seat. I fold my hands gently in my lap. It is today. His eyes narrow. Confusion spreads across his face like a slow-moving shadow. What is this supposed to be? He scoffs. Is this some kind of protest, a tantrum? My heartbeat doesn't change. I don't throw tantrums, I say softly. Jazz leans close to him, whispering not nearly quietly enough. She's embarrassing herself. My eyes flick to Jazz for half a second. Her confidence radiates like cheap perfume, loud, pervasive, trying too hard. Inside, my thoughts tighten, sharp as a thread pulled taut. You've embarrassed yourself far more than you realize. Before Jabari can say another word, the door opens again. Lee Turner steps inside. His presence shifts the air. Instantly, a silent authority settles over the room as he places a thick folder on the table. Several board members straighten, a few exchanging knowing glances. Jabari blinks. Why is he here? Lee speaks calmly. I was asked to deliver documents on behalf of one of your major shareholders. That gets the room's attention. Jabari chuckles fake, shaking his head. Look, I appreciate the drama, but we don't need theatrics today. Everything's already in motion. We can start the vote. A board member clears his throat, Mr. Langley. He looks at Jabari with a controlled expression, neither friendly nor hostile, simply discerning. Before we proceed with the vote, Mr. Langley says, we have questions regarding the shareholder distributions and the majority stake. Jabari waves a dismissive hand. Handled. I submitted everything earlier this week. Actually, another board member says, your submission contained several discrepancies. The room shifts. A subtle tension flickers through the air. I watch Jabari's shoulders stiffen. What discrepancies? He demands. Lee opens the folder. The sound of paper sliding against paper feels like a blade being unsheathed. These, Eli says, laying out a stack of documents in front of him. I catch the micro-movement of Jabari's jaw tightening. His nostrils flare slightly. Tiny signals of his composure beginning to crack, he tries to laugh it off. Whatever that is, it's probably a clerical error. Doesn't change anything. Inside, I think you've built your throne on clerical errors and arrogance. One of the board members, Ms. Alvarez, a woman known for her sharp mind and sharper instincts, leans forward. Mr. Bennett, she says coolly, your financial disclosures show undefined funding sources during the company's crucial development years. Jabari blinks. The funding was handled. Why does it matter? It matters, she replies, because the original capital investment accounts for the largest ownership block. Jazz rolls her eyes dramatically. Why are we complicating this? Everyone knows Jabari deserves the CEO title. MS. Alvarez turns her gaze on Jazz with a slow precision that could freeze water. And you are? Jazz straightens. I'm his partner. Her tone, her smirk, the possessive lilt on partner, it's a spark thrown directly into dry brush. Several board members inhale sharply. Eyes widen, glances shift toward me. Jabari reacts too late. That's not, she's not part of this discussion. I should hope not, Mr. Langley mutters dryly. The room grows heavier, tighter. Jazz thinks she's helping him, but every word digs him deeper. Jabari turns back to the board, trying to recover. Let's stay focused. We all know who the major shareholders are. We can move on. Lee slides another document across the table. This is the updated shareholder registry, he says, including historical capital injections verified by the firm. Jabari swallows, a tiny movement but visible. His voice raises a little too quickly. Who asked for this? Ms. Alvarez answers, we did, after noticing the inconsistencies. I already told you it's a paperwork thing. It's a legal thing, she corrects him. A flicker of panic crosses his eyes. Inside me, a slow, powerful calm spreads. This is the man who called me useless. This is the man who told me I didn't understand business. This is the man who believed he controlled every room he walked into. Now he is unraveling in one. Let's clarify something, Mr. Langley says. The anonymous investor, whose contributions have sustained this company for years, holds 38% of our shares. All eyes shift to the empty seat between Eli and me. Jabari scoffs, forcing a smile. Right, and where is this mystery person? Are they even real? Some ghost shareholder trying to delay my appointment? Lee folds his hands. They are very real, Jabari throws up his hands. Then let them walk in, let's stop wasting time. The room falls into perfect, crystalline silence. Every board member turns to look at me. Slowly, I rise from my seat. Jabari's smile falters. What are you doing? He asks, voice tightening. I meet his gaze evenly. Answering your question. He looks confused for a moment. Then his eyes widen barely but enough. No, he says breathlessly. No, you're joking. I don't speak. His eyes flicker to the board members, searching for support that isn't coming. You, he sputters. You're the investor, you. The tremble in his voice deepens the silence. I hold his gaze, steady and calm, letting him feel every ounce of the truth. One board member leans back slowly, exhaling. Everything makes sense now. Another nods. She saved the company in its early years. Jabari shakes his head like he's trying to force the reality away. This can't be real. She doesn't know anything about business. Inside, a quiet burn rises. Known more about business than you ever cared to learn. Ms. Alvarez looks at me with new respect. Mrs. Bennett, do you have anything you'd like to say before we proceed? I place my hands gently on the table. My voice is steady. Yes, Jabari flinches. This is the turning point, I think. The moment the mirror cracks. The moment he sees that the woman he dismissed, the woman he underestimated, is the only person in this room with more power than him. I say softly, we should continue with the agenda. And in that instant, I know Jabari is no longer the center of the room. I am. The pressure around him intensifies, like water rising, like air thinning. He opens his mouth, but no sound comes. The board grows uneasy. The uncertainty shifts. The balance of power tilts. This is the moment he realizes. He is losing, and I am only getting started. The silence in the boardroom feels alive, thick enough that I can hear every breath, every tiny shift of fabric, every nervous swallow. Light spills from the chandelier above us, catching the edges of polished glass and reflecting in clean shards across the table. It feels like standing inside a spotlight, yet somehow, I'm the calmest person in the room. Jabari is not. He's sitting too still, like a man afraid to move because he isn't sure which version of reality will collapse when he does. His eyes dart from me to the papers spread across the table, then to the board members who are now staring at him with something between shock and disappointment. Finally, his voice breaks through the silence. You can't be serious, he mutters, almost breathless. This has to be some kind of sick joke. I keep my gaze steady. It's not a joke. But you, his hand flings toward me clumsily. You're just Keisha. Inside, I feel something shift. Old version of myself. The woman who once flinched when he raised his voice is long gone. Now I breathe in slowly, letting the air settle in my chest. Just Keisha, but somehow the one holding everything you thought belonged to you. I'm the one who funded this company when no one else believed in it, I say, my voice calm, even. And I'm the one who holds 38% of the shares. A visible tremor runs through his shoulders. Jazz's eyes snap wide and she nearly stands. What? No, she can't. That's impossible. It's very possible, Ms. Alvarez replies coldly. And it's factual. The boardroom murmurs again, papers rustle, chairs creak. The weight of the revelation spreads like heat. Jabari's breathing quickens. He leans forward, both palms slamming down on the table. You did this behind my back. I angle my head ever so slightly. I invested in you. That's not the same thing. His words drop out in stuttering bursts. But you, why would you? Because I believed in your dream at the time, I reply. Because I thought we were partners. My voice tightens at the end, a subtle tremor I don't bother to hide. The truth deserves its sound. And now, he challenges, eyes burning. You want to destroy me, over a few arguments. My internal monologue sharpens, crisp as broken crystal. You didn't destroy us with arguments. You destroyed us with disrespect. I lean forward slightly. This isn't punishment, Jabari. This is accountability. Jazz scoffs loudly. She just wants attention. Several board members turn toward her with looks that could cut steel. Mr. Langley clears his throat. Mrs. Bennett, as the largest shareholder present, you have the right to speak on today's vote. Jabari whips around. What vote? I thought this was. The vote to appoint the new CEO, Ms. Alvarez reminds him, her tone almost icy. I reach for the folder Eli prepared earlier. My hand moves slowly, deliberately, letting the soft whisper of paper fill the room. I push the documents forward. These, I say, are my decisions on the proposed appointments and restructuring. Jabari's face drains of color. Wait, Keisha baby, listen, you don't understand what's happening. You're letting your emotions. I raise a single hand. He goes silent. Inside my mind, I almost laugh. You've spoken over me for so many years, you don't recognize the moment when your voice no longer matters. I turn to the board. I would like to cast my vote. MS. Alvarez nods. Proceed. The room stills. I look Jabari dead in the eye. I veto the appointment of Jabari Bennett as CEO. It lands like an explosion. Gasps ripple through the room. Someone drops a pen. The sound echoes like a verdict. Jabari stumbles backward a step. You can't do that. You caw the board. Someone stop her. Mr. Langley remains unmoved. She has a controlling share. She not only can, she just did. Jabari's mouth opens and closes uselessly. He looks like a drowning man searching for a lifeline in a room full of people who finally see him clearly. Then I continue. And I request that the board proceeds with my recommendation for the new CEO. The silence becomes even heavier. Jabari sputters. Recommendation? Who? You. No, I say simply. I turn toward the far end of the room, where a young woman sits quietly, hands folded, head down as if she doesn't want to take up space. Amani. The intern he bullied. The girl he humiliated for mispronouncing a technical term. The girl he reduced to tears in front of an entire conference room just to feel powerful. I gesture toward her. I nominate Amani Lewis. Her head snaps up so fast the air seems to move with her. Her eyes wide, soft, stunned meet mine and I see tears forming instantly. Emmy, she whispers. Jabari explodes. Her, the intern, the little charity case you're always defending. Have you lost your mind? She can't run this company. The board members look at him with visible disgust. MS. Alvarez folds her arms. I've reviewed Ms. Lewis's proposals. They are some of the strongest technical projections we've received in years. Mr. Langley nods. Her innovation strategy is more promising than any department head's. Another board member adds, frankly, she shows more leadership potential than most executives. Amani's hands tremble. I don't know what to say. I smile at her softly. You say yes. Inside, my thoughts warm, gentle as sunlight breaking through clouds. This company deserves a leader who understands respect. A leader with vision. A leader who knows what it feels like to be underestimated. I turn back to the board. Shall we vote? They do, and with only one dissenting voice, Jabari, whose vote does not matter. Amani is named interim CEO pending contract finalization. Jazz slams a hand on the table. This is a setup. Y'all are doing this because she's jealous. Mr. Langley raises a brow. Jealous of an intern. Jazz falters, mouth opening but no salvation falling out of it. Lee clears his throat. We also need to proceed with one more matter. He clicks his pen. Asset access suspension. Jabari goes pale. Asset wait, hold on. His voice cracks as he looks around and realizes every exit has closed. Doors, metaphorical and literal. I breathe in slowly, savoring the moment without cruelty, just clarity. Effective immediately, I say. Jabari's access to corporate accounts, company credit cards, vehicles, and digital platforms will be temporarily frozen pending internal review. He staggers back like I slapped him. You're freezing me out of my own company. It was never yours, I reply softly. It was ours, but you made sure there was no us left. The board members shift uncomfortably. No one defends him. His voice softens, not out of humility but desperation. Keisha, please. Don't do this. Inside, something within me loosens. If you had asked me gently years ago, maybe none of this would have happened. I stand slowly. This is not revenge, I say. This is restoration. His knees buckle. He grips the back of his chair, and as the final wave of reality hits him, I add, you underestimated the wrong woman. The boardroom is silent. Amani wipes her tears, Jazz storms out, and Jabari sinks into his chair, staring at the ruins of the empire he thought he built alone. I turn, lifting my chin, my heels clicking steadily on the polished floor. I walk out first. For the first time in years he does not follow. The morning sunlight filters through the blinds of my office, painting the room in stripes of gold and shadow. The hum of the city outside contrasts sharply with the calm inside these walls. I breathe deeply, letting the scent of polished wood and freshly brewed coffee ground me. Today is not just any day, it's the day everything changes. I glance at my reflection in the dark glass of the boardroom door. My suit is sharp, tailored, precise. My hair is pulled back tightly, yet softened just enough to remind the world that I am both formidable and human. My fingers drum lightly against the folder on my lap. Every detail, every plan, every decision I've made to get here culminates in this room. Jabari will arrive soon, full of his usual arrogance, certain that the throne he's coveted is his. Jazz will be there too, her laugh loud, her presence aggressive, attempting to occupy space she doesn't deserve. And yet, they both underestimate one crucial truth. I am no longer the silent partner, the door clicks open, and their arrivals are like storms. Jabari strides in first, chest out, eyes scanning the room with entitlement dripping from every movement. Jazz follows, trailing him like a shadow, smirking as she notices my quiet composure. My pulse remains steady, my breath measured. I let them settle before I speak. Good morning, I say, my voice calm, deliberate. The sound cuts through their hubris like glass. I trust you're all ready to begin, Jabari scoffs, brushing imaginary dust off his shoulder. Of course, nothing's going to stop today. Not you, not anyone. Inside, I smile just slightly. We'll see about that. The board members shift, sensing tension, unsure what's coming. I let the silence stretch, letting the weight of my presence settle over the room. Every second makes Jabari more uncomfortable, more aware that he doesn't control the narrative anymore. I've reviewed all proposals, I continue, sliding the folder toward the table. The papers shift with a soft whisper against polished oak. And after careful consideration, I've made some decisions regarding company leadership, Jazz gasps audibly. Decisions? You can't. I can, I interrupt smoothly, cutting her off. And I have. My eyes meet hers for just a moment, and I sense the flash of panic. Finally, you're seeing me clearly. Jabari leans forward, trying to regain control, but his words falter. Keisha, you're making a mistake. I lean back slightly, letting the chair creak under me, a subtle assertion of space, of authority. The only mistake made here, I reply softly, was underestimating the wrong woman for far too long. The room goes still. Every executive, every employee present senses the shift in power. Jabari's jaw tightens, his knuckles white as they grip the arm of his chair. Jazz bites her lip, trying to mask panic behind her smirk. I slide the first set of documents toward Mr. Langley. These reflect the votes as per my shares and legal authority. The words are deliberate, every syllable designed to assert control. The board members lean in, skimming through the pages. Faces shift from curiosity to astonishment. Jabari's voice rises, desperation creeping in. You can't do this, you don't even, this isn't fair. My internal monologue hums with clarity. Fair. Fair was believing in him while he called me useless. Fair was supporting him silently while he plotted over my head. This is justice, dressed in patience and precision. I have the right to vote, I am the largest shareholder and I am exercising that right. I slide another folder forward, the one containing my choice for CEO. Amani's name rests at the top, his head snaps up, eyes wide. Amani, the intern. Yes, I say, soft but unwavering. The same intern you belittled, the same one whose talent you dismissed. She now leads this company, Jazz sputters. But she can't, she's just what this company needed, I finish for her. My eyes flick to the board, who nod slowly, some exchanging looks that say, finally someone with sense. Jabari stands abruptly, knocking his chair back with a loud scrape against the floor. His anger is palpable, a living thing that fills the room with tension. Keisha, this isn't over. You don't get to. Yes, I do, I interrupt, voice steady. And today it begins. Your access to corporate resources, company accounts, and decision-making platforms is suspended pending review. His body freezes. The power he assumed was his has evaporated in a single, calculated stroke. Jazz stumbles back, trying to find words but finding none. I inhale slowly, letting the room absorb the weight of reality. This is what it feels like to finally be seen. Amani stands, hands shaking, but her eyes bright with gratitude. I don't know what to say. Say yes, I tell her softly. You're capable, I believe in you. She nods, swallowing her disbelief, and for the first time I see the ripple effect of my choices: respect, recognition, empowerment. Jabari sinks into his chair, defeated, uncomprehending. Jazz storms out, but not before throwing a glare that could have scorched the polished floors. I glance around the room, meeting the eyes of the board members. Confidence and certainty hum in the air. The public reveal isn't just about the company, it's about reclaiming my life, my voice, my agency. Every detail, every step, every moment of planning converges here. And finally, I step fully into my rightful place. The last thing I hear before leaving the room is Jabari's quiet, broken mutter. How did I not see this? I smile slightly, letting the words echo in my mind as I walk out. Because you never paid attention. But I did. The doors close behind me, and for the first time in years, the weight of expectation, humiliation, and silence lifts. I am seen. I am in control. I am free. The city outside moves on, oblivious to the quiet storm I've orchestrated, but inside me, everything is still, perfect, and finally mine. The office is quiet this morning, almost unnervingly so. The usual hum of phones, the low chatter of assistants, the shuffle of papers gone. The air carries only the faint aroma of freshly brewed coffee, mingling with the scent of polished wood and my own faint perfume. It's the kind of silence that demands attention, the kind that makes you notice every small sound, every small movement. And I notice everything. Jabari's absence is palpable. For the first time, the weight he carried, the arrogance, the self-assured swagger, is replaced by a void, a lingering tension that radiates from the empty chair he once occupied. I watch the sunlight fall across the conference table, tracing the lines of shadows, and I realize how perfectly still the world feels when the chaos of someone else's ego is finally gone. My phone buzzes quietly, a reminder that life moves on, that decisions have consequences and rewards alike. I scroll through the notifications, seeing congratulations from board members, Amani's quick messages of thanks, and even a few notes from employees I've mentored quietly over the years. Their words are a soft echo of validation I never needed, yet deeply appreciate. I sip my coffee and feel a sense of calm wash over me, an unfamiliar, unburdened peace that tastes almost sweet against the bitter undertone of victory. I finally hear the soft, hesitant knock at my office door. Keisha. Jabari's voice cracks, hesitant, stripped of its usual authority. My head tilts slightly, curiosity tempered with restraint. I gesture toward the chair across from me. Sit. My tone is calm, measured, deliberate. No anger, no need to assert power, because the power has already spoken. He hesitates, then lowers himself into the seat, his posture slumped, the mask of confidence shattered. I watch the tiny tremor in his hands, the way his eyes avoid mine. He's unmoored, untethered, and he knows it. He trails off, words failing him. I can hear the faint echo of desperation behind the pride he's always worn like armor. I lean back in my chair, letting silence stretch, letting the weight of this moment settle over him. Finally, I speak, soft but cutting. Do you know why this happened, Jabari? He swallows hard, then shakes his head slowly. I thought I was doing everything right. I didn't understand. You thought you were untouchable, I interrupt, voice calm, almost gentle. You thought that belittling me, dismissing my contributions, flaunting your supposed victories, would make the world bend to your ego. And you didn't notice, you didn't see the quiet work, the unseen support that built everything you wanted. He closes his eyes for a moment, shame flickering across his features. I can see it, the realization dawning, the crushing weight of self-inflicted failure. I wasn't invisible, I continue, leaning forward slightly, the golden morning light catching the edges of my face, illuminating clarity. I was silent, I was patient. I let you run unchecked while I planned, observed, and built a future that included you, though you never included me. But patience has its limits. And today, patience ended. He opens his eyes again, finally meeting mine, and I see regret, humiliation, and a flicker of fear. Keisha. You underestimated the wrong woman, I say softly, decisively. Not because I wanted to hurt you, but because you left me no choice. Your arrogance, your entitlement, it blinded you to the truth. And now you must face the consequences of underestimating me. Jabari nods slowly, a quiet acknowledgement of defeat. His lips press together, a silent acceptance that his world, once so certain, has crumbled. I rise from my chair and move toward the window, letting the light wash over me. The city stretches endlessly below, indifferent yet beautiful, reminding me that life moves forward, that power is transient and respect, true respect, must be earned. I take a deep breath, the cool air brushing against my cheeks, and feel the weight of years lift off my shoulders. Turning back to Jabari, I allow myself a small, almost imperceptible smile. You see, Jabari's strength isn't always loud. Sometimes it's quiet, deliberate, and invisible until it reveals itself at exactly the right moment. He looks at me, defeated yet attentive, as if this is a lesson he'll never forget. I understand, he says softly. I truly do. Good, I reply, voice steady. Because this is where our paths diverge. I am no longer living in your shadow, waiting for recognition that will never come. And I suggest you take this time to reflect on the man you've been, and the man you want to become. He nods again, words unnecessary. The room is heavy with history, with the residue of mistakes, with the quiet triumph of justice. I move back to my desk and sit, letting the rhythm of my breathing sync with the calm certainty of my choices. The office no longer feels like a battlefield. It feels like home, a place of agency, of purpose, of clarity. I glance around at the photographs on my desk. Family, mentors, the small reminders of the life I've always worked for quietly behind the scenes. Today, those efforts are no longer hidden. Amani bursts into the office a few moments later, bright-eyed, radiant with energy. Keisha, I don't know how to thank you, she says, voice trembling slightly. You don't need to, I reply, smiling warmly. Just lead with integrity. Honor the work, respect the people, and never let anyone make you feel small. That's all the thanks I need. She nods, taking a deep breath, and I can see the spark of confidence in her eyes, a reflection of the power I've quietly cultivated over the years. As she leaves, the office feels lighter, brighter. I rise and move toward the window again, looking out over the city. The sunlight glints off the buildings, bouncing into my eyes like tiny sparks of possibility. I inhale deeply, feeling for the first time in years that the air I breathe is truly mine. I am seen. I am respected. I am free. And this life, my life, is only just beginning. I take a final glance at the empty chair that once belonged to Jabari and smile softly. Some lessons must be learned the hard way. Some victories are sweetest when quiet, calculated, and fully earned. Today, I step into the spotlight, not as a wife defined by her husband, not as a silent supporter of someone else's dreams, but as a woman fully and unapologetically herself, and I will never be underestimated again. Did you like the story? And which city are you listening from? Let's meet in the comments. If this story touched your heart, you can support me by sending a super thanks so I can keep creating for you. On the screen, you can see 2 new life stories that I highly recommend. Don't forget to subscribe. See you in the next life story, with love and respect.